Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. We've got another video for you today. I started a different project which is also going up on the channel. It's another garage build. We kind of interrupt that one. We're going to do another one today sort of concurrently. Reason being is I decided that middle of the last project, it's this shelf up there you see behind me, I decided I need to paint the ceiling first, and I wanted to finish off the shop lights before that. So a little earlier than expected, but I'm really excited about the build. We're going to be doing shop lights today. So, well, today and probably tomorrow. So what we're going to do is just everywhere you see these little white dots on the ceiling, be putting in lights. Now I'm going to be using this where the original light was, that box up there. We're going to be using that breaker and that initial Romex up in the ceiling. And we're going to be running a total of 13 of these, so an additional 12. I checked on the breaker. I got a 20 amp breaker and it doesn't get anything else. So I've got way more than enough amperage to run a total of 13 LEDs. They only pull 13 watts each, so it's about 169 watts total for all of these guys. I'm going to go take a look at these. These guys came with my house. They're like 5,000 K color, so they were way too bright for the inside of my house, so I just took them out and said it'd be perfect for the garage. These will just screw into a light can, which I just picked up at Lowe's. I picked up 13 of these guys, compatible cans. So these will just sit in there, and they're bright, and it should be absolutely perfect for what we need. But anyway, these things are only like 13 watts. A 20 amp breaker, quick math on that. Basically, you got 20 amps. 120 volts. Essentially, you get a 124 volt 20 amp breaker. The way you calculate the maximum sustained wattage is 120 volts times 20 amps. You get 2400 watts is what you can run through there. In theory, 2400 watts total load on the system divided by 13.5 watts per bulb is technically 178 bulbs. Obviously, we're only doing 13. But the safe operating or safe sustained load is 80% of that max number, which is 142. So in theory, you could run 142 bulbs on here on this 20 amp breaker. We're not doing that. We're doing 13. And as far as I can tell in testing, this breaker doesn't go anywhere else in my house. I've had that breaker off all night and I haven't noticed anything missing. The garage motor and the power plugs are on a different breaker, so we should be good to go to just wire everything up in series from that initial plug. I spent the last maybe 2-3 hours carefully sort of marking out in a grid, replacing all those white templates that I had cut out from a piece of paper with some chalk lines and the actual template from the light cans that I bought this morning. So like I said, we've got 13. There's a chalk line still. 13 templates traced out. I have yet to decide if I'm going to use a circular saw or if I'm just going to cut these by hand. Probably depend on how much the saws are at the store, because I don't actually own one. So I'll set the camera up, get these cut out, and then once I do, I'll take you up into the attic to run the wire. Alright guys, we're up in my attic. I apologize for the dust you see floating around. I've got the one can in the middle, the original light source, replaced here. This is the original wire. It was a 14 gauge wire for some reason, even though it's a 20 amp circuit. 20 amp circuits, you really should have 12 gauge wire, so I went and got 12 gauge for the rest of these. This wire goes somewhere behind the wall. I'm not taking it apart, so I can't really replace that, but what I wanted to do was show you what I'm going to be doing up here. I'm going to be running this 250 feet of Romex into that hole. I'm going to be dropping it through that hole and cutting it so there's maybe about a foot of extra, and then taking the next run, running it from that hole to that hole to that hole to that hole, and then there's another one sort of over there I haven't been able to open up yet. There. That's because there is a, let's see if I can reposition here and show you. there is a board that the contractor of this place before I owned it was really fond of doing. They just didn't cut sheetrock to size. They just kind of put boards in place to act as like a joining mechanism. So I got to cut around that up here, finish off that one, but that was the only one that had that issue. I was able to cut the rest of these just fine. Alright guys, it is the next day. We've got 9 more cans to wire up. I've done 5 already. So that gives me, no, I've done more than that now. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've only got 3 left actually, so I've done 10 already. I figured I'd take a second and show you in a spot that's fairly comfortable for me to sit up in what I'm doing up here with the Romex, in case someone here watching this is looking to do the same thing. Essentially, you're just running Romex from hole to hole. I'm gonna do that right here, right now. Don't pay attention to this. This is just the main running into the house. Whatever you do, don't cut into this. So this is the newest wire, this one here that I'm running. It's coming down here. Currently it's just going to this giant spool of Romex. We're gonna cut it and then run it into this hole here, and then get another length of it and run it into the hole up there. Once it's in place, we're gonna run the next wire, the next run of Romex from here. We're gonna put another foot of this end into this hole, and then run it over to that hole. We're gonna drop another foot. And we're basically just gonna leave them loose for now. And then we'll go ahead and connect it up down in the garage. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up these runs and I'll meet you downstairs. All right, we've got the cables run through the attic, so that's kind of the worst part done. I thought I'd take a second and show you just exactly what I'm doing to connect everything. Basically go ahead and strip off all the sleeves. Once you get all the sleeves off, we're using 12-2 Romex. If you're using a smaller gauge wire, like 14-2, obviously use a corresponding gauge on your strippers. So for 12 gauge, obviously check, use a 12 gauge slot. And we're going to strip off the sleeves on all the black and white lines. Obviously the ground line is just exposed. I do want to take a second and just say that I'm not an electrician, so don't rely on what I'm doing here as, I guess, code or law or rule or whatever. I'm just doing this for my house and maybe designing the system, and if you find some benefit in it or have some questions on your own, I hope I can help, but I'm not certified or licensed as an electrician or anything like that. So once you get all these off, I'm going to go ahead and grab the can and show you what's kind of cool about that. If you haven't gotten a halo lighting system or halo lighting can, I definitely recommend it if you're putting lights in. It makes this whole thing real fast. Essentially it comes with the can, some tabs that I have to pick up in a second, and then this box here that if you open up, has a pair of instructions that we don't need, and all these little quick connectors. So that's what I was kind of surprised about and pleased with. I don't have to use the twist ones, and it has enough space for, I think, 4 different connections, or 3 other connections, total of 4 connections. And you can pop out these little sort of indented circles in here with a screwdriver. You just pull out and work it back until it pops off, and you get your access port into the metal box there. So I'm going to come in through 3 different sides, just to make connecting 3 Romex cables into one little box a little bit easier. So anyway, we got 3 little spots in here. We're going to feed the Romex cables through. Before I do that, I'll show you the quick connects. These are little plastic connectors. The cables run into them, and there's angled blades in here. So once you stick the cable in, it grabs onto the blade. Since it's copper, it's fairly soft, and you can't pull it out. From what I've tried, I tried the needle nose. I'm sure there is a way to rip it out of there, but I haven't figured it out. So it makes doing these connections really fast and easy. Essentially just choose a run of Romex, stick it through the hole, and the remaining is pretty straightforward. You just plug the white cable into the white connector. You plug the black cable into the black connector. And you plug the ground wire into the ground connector. And you do the same for the other two. Whew, okay, I got all three in there. It's kind of a mess. It's pretty tight with three 12 gauge Romexes in there. I had to use my needle nose to just kind of help pull things through, but got it done. So it's not too bad. Certainly not untenable. I like these connectors because they guarantee a nice tight connection, and you don't have to worry about it coming undone or something when you put the can into the attic. So that's the connections all made there. Now that it's all in, you just kind of slide this whole thing into the attic. Move these black connection, securing tabs out of the way. Push the can all the way up. There we go. And then push the tabs into place. And that's it. So once that's in place, you can go on and do the rest, and we'll come back and take a look at putting the bulbs in. Okay, we're putting the bulbs in now that I got everything, all the cans connected. Not really complicated at all. It's literally just screw in this section like you would any normal light bulb, but instead of the bulb being there, it's attached to two wires. Once those are connected, they've got these two pinching mechanisms that you hook in there, and on the opposite side, once those are in, and push the bulb up, and it seals tight to the ceiling. Alright guys, I figured we'll turn this on together. I got all the bulbs placed. Go ahead and flip the breaker, and this is the first time I've seen all of these light up, so hopefully they all work, and hopefully it looks amazing. Let's turn the garage light off. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That looks so good, you guys. Oh my goodness. Oh man, that is, nothing in here is left unlit, except for maybe that underneath the shelf where the door is, but this looks so good over the bikes and the skis. And oh yeah, that's what you need over the shop bench. That looks nice. Nothing left dark here. So much light, so I won't ever have an issue with needing more light, not being able to see the project. Really makes the space feel a lot more put together as well. Alright guys, so that's shop lighting. I've got 13 lights up here, 13.5 watts each. It's about 170, 175 watts, somewhere in there total. And it's putting out light at 5000 K in the color spectrum, so it's a nice bright white light, perfect for shops. Not so great for your dining room. If you have any questions on pretty much any part of this project, feel free to put them in the comments below. If you want to subscribe, that'd be great. In the meantime, stick around for more. We should have the part 2 of this shelf build coming up. I'm pretty sure I'm going to post the light video before I get this video posted, so I have part 1 and 2 of the shelf build coming up. Also, my favorite new project for the garage will probably be a table-style outfeed table that I'm going to store and winch up to the ceiling, so that's going to be a huge build down the line. In the meantime, probably be returning to the truck here in another month or two. May have a compressor review video, just general compressor for filling up the tires, coming up shortly. But in the meantime, bigger projects on the truck coming down the line, probably in another couple of months. In the meantime, like the video, subscribe, all that awesome stuff. See you next time.